Welcome to our next short talk and Bible reading to accompany our midweek service, this time for November the 11th. I hope this continues to find you well and that lockdown too is not treating you too harshly. Today is Remembrance, the 11th of the 11th, our day of national remembrance, although the theme of our reading is very much not focused on that. Our reading is taken from Luke chapter 17, verses 11 to 19. Let me read that to you first. Now, on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus travelled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men with leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go, show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan. Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Rise and go, your faith has made you well." So the word has got around to the local leper colony. There's this man going around who can heal people. Says he's the Son of Man. People are saying or asking if he's the Messiah. Maybe he could heal us. And this group of 10 lepers leave the colony, breaking every social norm, lack of social distancing, in order to find Jesus. Well, they stand at a distance. They are keeping some social distance. So they stand at a distance from Jesus and call out, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." They come to Jesus, and the thing that he does is then to directly send them away. "Go, show yourselves to the priests." There is no flash of lightning, no dramatic music moment, no special religious ceremony that takes place. Simply the group of 10 turn around and walk towards where the priests were. Now, bearing in mind that other miracle stories, for example, where people who have been paralyzed are healed, they jump for joy and make lots of noise. This may seem a bit of an anticlimax, but simply turning and walking to somewhere else is actually an awesome thing for them to do. What it shows is a huge act of trust and belief by the 10 lepers. There is no, "But Jesus, do something." They simply turn and go. Yet it is in that very act of turning, of trusting Jesus, that something huge happens. As they walk away, the men find their healing and wholeness. Now, why did Jesus then send them to see the priests? Well, it was their role to certify that someone was either clean or unclean. The priest could just as easily send them to a leper colony. So in going to see the priest, there must have been a little bit of trepidation felt by the men, yet they still went. And as they went, feeling, I guess, a little bit uncomfortable still, they find not simply physical healing, spiritual healing, but following their inspection by the priest, they also find social healing. They are restored back into community life as they are seen as being socially clean again. They no longer have leprosy. Now, there's a part of me that isn't surprised that 9 didn't go back to Jesus to say thank you. I guess they were keen to go back to their families in the locality. And I guess at that point there must have been much rejoicing. But the Samaritan, a man whose culture puts him at odds with Judaism, and remember, we're told at the beginning that Jesus is traveling to Jerusalem by the border. I guess he had no family in the local area to rejoice with, so he goes to say thank you to Jesus. And Jesus makes the point, your faith has made you well. That act of trusting Jesus, of turning and walking to the priest, made him well. What can we draw from this today? Well, it would be fantastic if Jesus could simply just stop COVID and make people well. I don't think we see evidence of that yet. I hope that doesn't come over as a lack of faith. But Jesus does still offer hope today. And I think this episode says something about how we should deal with that hope. One thing we are not told is for how long the lepers had had that condition for. It could have been several years. Sometimes you have to first hold on to hope over a long period of time. Hope that God will finally act for you in your time of need. And that holding on in hope is by itself a very act of faith. Having heard that Jesus, having heard about Jesus, the men would have spoken together about him, conspired together about how they should react. It was in that corporate speaking together, deciding to travel together, that faith was kindled. And that was important in beginning to release that hope. If we want to realize more of the hope that Jesus offers us as a community, then we too need to speak together about the hope that Jesus offers us and how we can support one another to reach out for that hope. Maybe encouraging one another to pray, telling stories together of how God helps us in our difficult times of need. Maybe encouraging one another to look out for one another. But it is in that initial conspiring together that hope is not only found, it's began to be released. Hope was then found in trusting Jesus, trusting that he offered what he offered, trusting what he said they had to do to unleash the fullness of that hope. It's a journey. It's a longer journey. That is encountering hope. It is only in demonstrating that faith to one another, in turning or walking towards the priests, very people who they wouldn't really want to walk towards, that their healing and wholeness was recognized. And wow, they discovered their health, not just physical, spiritual, but social as well, in trusting Jesus. So may this intriguing story challenge us to trust Jesus more. May encourage us to conspire together to seek out more of the hope that he offers each of us. And as we journey, may we discover deep hope as we respond to what we believe Jesus wants us to do in life, which we can only do as we conspire and share belief together.